What's up, and welcome to Frankly Hockey, the hockey show that gets right to the point. It's Friday, December 12th, 2025. I'm John Buccigross. That, of course, is Frank Seravalli. And Frank, this artwork at my St. Louis hotel, I got the Blackhawks and Blues tonight on ESPN Plus, is very apropos. That's the left side of my brain exploding. I was down in the gym here at the St. Louis hotel doing my Matthew Olivier wrist curl program, 50 sets of 50 pounds with the dumbbells to get the forearms jacked. When I looked on the X, yes, that's it. Get the old rope with the 25-pounder there. And I saw on X that Tristan Jarry traded to Edmonton. So let's talk about the big trade. Also, our guest today is Guy Gadowsky, Penn State hockey coach from Edmonton. So big show for Edmontonians. We'll ask him, of course, about Gavin McKenna and his start there in Penn State. But let's get right to the trade, Frank. Obviously, you are an insider. I know you probably heard some rumblings throughout the year. What's Edmonton going to do? When will Kyle Dubas try to maybe unload Tristan Jarry? He is an asset, but he's got goaltending depth in terms of young goaltenders in Pittsburgh. So kind of take us through your perspective as we look at the details of the trade and what you kind of heard and what your overall reaction to it when you saw it happen today.
Yeah, I think the interesting part of it happening today is that Stuart Skinner's game really seemed to kind of be rounding into form. You look at his last 5 appearances, .937 save percentage, and you're thinking, okay, maybe Stuart Skinner's about to go on one of those runs that he's been on over the last couple seasons with Edmonton. Remember that stretch when they won 24 out of 27 games at one point? I mean, he's fully capable of rattling off wins like that. But I think the way that this season unfolded, clearly Stan Bowman was pushed to action. And it comes at a pretty expensive cost, considering that Tristan Jarry was on the scrap heap as recently as last year. This is a guy that the Pittsburgh Penguins couldn't move. He had an exorbitant contract. He went through waivers, spent time in the AHL. He was, in a lot of ways, the Pittsburgh Penguins scapegoat for a season that had gone wrong. And so now on the back end of it, and we'll talk about the Pittsburgh side of this trade in a couple minutes, but the big question that I have for the Oilers today is, are they better now than they were 3 hours ago? I think the answer to that is yes. But my bigger question is, by how much? Because I know that Brett Kulak was a pending UFA and was not coming back, and he had not played great this season, but still a proven playoff performer on their back end. And this does come hand in hand with a Spencer Stastny trade that they bring in, and they view him as the long-term replacement for Brett Kulak and to play those minutes. That was a separate trade that was completed with Nashville right around the same time for a 2027 third-round pick. But when I see this deal that comes in now, maybe there's a comfortability factor for Tristan Jarry, who was an Edmonton Oil King, played in that building, had lots of success, and obviously would be comfortable with the organization and living there. How much better, Bucci, do you think they are now than 3 hours ago?
Yeah, some of it is psychological, right? A reset for Jarry, who is a talent, trying to prove that contract. Yeah, I look at it like this, Frank. Kulak and Skinner had little value in my mind. UFAs to be, and their games are eroding. Skinner's save percentage has gone down now 3 straight years. Kulak's having just an abysmal year, hasn't scored yet. The Penguins, and again, I know some people were surprised the Penguins didn't retain. I was not. They don't have a cap problem, and they're trying to sell the team. Kyle Dubas is smart. If he wants to, impress the new owners, there's no debt on the books of any kind. I look at the trade as a second-round pick and a possible fourth liner for Jarry, a guy who obviously is not playing to his contract number right now, a guy that, talking to Penguins employees over the last couple of years when I would do a game there, when he got that contract, they just felt that he was soft and that he lost his work ethic just, a little bit. It doesn't take much. That's their words, not mine. And that's how they characterized it. I'm not around like they are, but that's what was said inside the walls of Pittsburgh. So this was a guy that I think they were looking to move. And like we said, they have young goaltending talent, and Skinner might be part of that. He might be part of the future. You never know. Or, and like to get your thoughts on this, give him 15 games, 20 games, and maybe they flip him at the deadline for, maybe another third or a second, depending on how well he plays. And he has playoff experience. Like you said, he does have a track record of going on runs. He has been in the Stanley Cup final 2 years in a row. He has felt that heat. So he's going to have some value as a UFA. There's no doubt about that. And maybe the Penguins can flip him again. Because, and I think we'll know what they really think about their current goaltending crop before Skinner, by what they do with Skinner. As they look at him, look at the others, okay, these are the guys we target, move this guy. What do you think about maybe flipping Skinner and what I just said?
Yeah, I think there's definitely some validity to that because, look, they really like Murashov and they think that they're a believer that he can be an impact NHL goalie. So you've got Murashov there, you've got Artur Shilovs there, and you could understand how, okay, where's there room for Skinner? We know that goalie trades are relatively difficult to make in season. This is yet another example of them, but would someone step up to grab Stuart Skinner from you? That's a different question. I'm more interested in how the Pittsburgh Penguins view this from a Brett Kulak perspective. This is a team that's hung right in the race this season. Are they viewing Kulak as a guy that can maybe help boost them? Or are they viewing him as, hey, maybe if we're in the race, great, we'll keep him. And if not, then we'll flip him as well. So I want, before we really dive into the Pittsburgh side of it, I think Kyle Dubas did a tremendous job managing his assets here. I just wonder from an Edmonton perspective, think about how we're looking at this team. Win now, 2 consecutive Stanley Cup finals. Tristan Jarry doesn't really have a lot of playoff experience. He's only played in 8 playoff games. Stuart Skinner has taken this team to 2 straight Stanley Cup finals, and I can understand why you would feel that based on the way this season and some others have played out, that he's not giving you the confidence required. But in the end, the Oilers didn't really fix their tandem. They might have improved their starter, which I think they undeniably, based on this season's results, they did. But Cal Pickard is still the other end of it, who's going to have to play another 20 games down the stretch here, or 15, that leaves your team in a vulnerable position. So again, I asked the question, are the Oilers better today than they were 3 hours ago? I think the answer is yes. I just don't know how much better. And that's the part when you make a move like this. If you had told me that Skinner was staying, and if he didn't have much value, I understand for cap reasons they might have needed to make the deal. But if you told me Skinner was going to play in tandem with Jarry, I probably would feel a lot different about this trade than I do about replacing Skinner with Jarry.
Agree. I think Jarry is seen as the slightly better talent, like you said, 6 shutouts a couple of years ago, all-star game. And when he's on, he is one of those, like we said, those athletic goalies that looks like that guy's a guy. But it's sporadic. Skinner is more like the ultimate teammate, big guy, local guy who always took all the arrows, took the slings and arrows with pretty much the same kind of attitude. I think respected by his teammates. And we'll see how Jarry fits in. Certainly, that's a serious place led by serious people when I'm talking about McDavid and Draisaitl. These are serious people. And of course, obviously, Jarry would have saw that with Sidney Crosby. He's not quite, I think, as wound tightly at this stage of his career because he's got 3 cups. He's got everything that McDavid and Draisaitl are searching for. So Sid's more a man in full. He's a man at peace where he just goes out to win. That's why I think that's helped his success here and his international success and building 4 nations and gold medals and things like that. He's in a great sweet spot of his career. But there still was a level there between Sullivan and Crosby for Jarry. You think he would have got it to really, hone in. But I think he's going to feel something different in Edmonton. With McDavid and with Draisaitl and the desperateness and the despair, just really how desperate they are there to get it done. So, I agree.
Here's the other part of it is that the Oilers view the blip that Tristan Jarry had in his career, where that significant stretch after signing that contract, where his numbers went in the tank and went through waivers and went down. They view that as, and they had done their homework here. Again, this is a guy, the Oilers own the Oil King. So he played in that building, was kind of in an odd way, part of their organization already. They did their homework and they found that there were some off-ice things going on with him in his personal life that can account for that stretch of time where he didn't play well. And so they feel like it's kind of one of those things where if you delete that, think of it like, when they do like figure skating at the Olympics and they delete your lowest score and that's how your average is. They think of it like, well, if you delete that stretch of time from his resume, he's kind of always that 909 to 911 goalie that they think they've significantly improved their team. So if you are armed with that knowledge that, obviously I wouldn't have as a reporter, can do some digging now after the fact. But if you've done your work on that and you feel really confident that he is a top end talent that just for whatever reason as an asset had not been managed appropriately, well, then maybe you have found something here that you can unlock and he's back up to that level playing there now. Maybe he just stays at that level.
And I agree on Kulak. He's a guy that I think could fit in their third pair. And someone I could see them giving him a 3-year deal. I don't think he'll have a huge market out there. Maybe he fits. Ryan Graves obviously has not worked out there at all. I don't know what they're going to try to do with that. But whether or not the Penguins would flip Skinner and Kulak, I mean, I could see a world. I think the value for Skinner will actually be a little bit higher to their liking, I would think. But you never know. They may see Asmirasov as their guy and just want to give him 2 or 3 more years in a tandem situation before you hand it to him. And Skinner obviously can shoulder stuff.
Well, that was the other part of it, right? So let's say, and part of the reason why this trade wasn't made sooner, I've had a couple of people ask me this morning, hey, if they were such believers in Jarry and had done their homework on the scouting perspective, why didn't they grab him when he was free? Well, a few reasons for that. One, I don't think they truly believed that Skinner was problematic. And two, like anyone else, you'd like to see the rebound from Tristan Jarry before you go out and then make the trade. But if you're looking at it from Pittsburgh's perspective, I love the way that they've managed this because Kyle Dubas is able to get off of Tristan Jarry and receive some significant pieces in return. Look, I don't think Sam Poulin is going to be an impactful NHL player at this point in time. And so you move off of Poulin, you move off of Jarry, that contract is off your books. You didn't have to retain, and you get back the second round pick, even though it's in 2029, but 2, as we talked about, potentially flippable assets that at the very least could bring you more of these picks. Teams know the Oilers already gave up a second for Kulak. They can get another second for Kulak this time around at the deadline if you're the Penguins because they know how good of a playoff performer he is. That guy is nails when it comes to the postseason. So he hasn't played well this year, but he's a playoff performer and is looking for more opportunity. So I like just about every aspect of it from Pittsburgh's perspective. I thought this was a masterclass managing a guy that, hey, the Oilers are trying to get you to retain. They're asking you left, right, and center to get you to eat $2 million. They held firm, said under no circumstances are we retaining money on Tristan Jarry for a guy that they couldn't pay to get rid of previously and couldn't get him off their books. Now they got actual value in return.
I agree. Kulak was 23.45 a night last year in the playoffs, +9. He can skate. He can shoot. He looked like a perfect fit at like 2.75 cap. He was a great part of, Ken Holland's piece when he went there was trying to get guys like him at value. So you can obviously, because he had the top end guys, he had to pay, and they always were fighting for those little value pieces like Kulak, and he was. So I agree, and it's going to be fun to kind of see like where and he might package them both, right? Skinner and Kulak to one team.
Yeah, maybe not in the same deal, even if you trade them separately. And the other point that I wanted to make is there probably is some scar tissue for the Oilers in giving up on Stuart Skinner. You bring back Tristan Jarry, who played for the Oil Kings, but you're trading away a homegrown hometown piece. Stuart Skinner's from Edmonton, took a ton of pride playing for the Oilers, and the Oilers had some scar tissue from trading away, and he just turned 27 a few weeks ago. So this is still a guy who's relatively young in his goaltending journey. Most guys don't even become full-time NHL starters till 26. And he's been at it for a few years now. They moved off of Devin Dubnyk too soon. And as an organization, they were like, well, this guy was homegrown. We gave up on him at a tough time when he was struggling. He goes on to be a Vezina Trophy finalist elsewhere. Should we hang on to this guy? I just think they got to a place where right now the stakes are too high to find out the other way, which is we've gotten to the final. We haven't won. We might not even make the playoffs if we continue on with the goaltending that we've gotten this season. We better step up to the plate and make something happen because the alternative is too big of a risk.
Yeah, I kind of look at it, we'll see if this is a good trade for Edmonton, or are they just buying a scratch ticket to hopefully make the monthly rent and car payment, something that I did regularly in 1993. Once I want to buy this scratch ticket because I really need, I need $500 for rent and I need $286 for my 87 Nissan Maxima. Maybe I can win $1,000 with this scratch ticket. And that's what I think that's what they're doing, Frank. They bought a scratch ticket today and they hope it hits.
You know what the lottery is, right, Bucci?
I do. Yeah.
It's a tax on the poor.
It is. But like I said, this was the left side of my brain exploding in the gym this morning at the St. Louis hotel. It's, trades energize the hockey base, don't they? It gets everybody's blood flowing, and it's fun on social media to talk about it, and it's fun for us to talk about it as well here. And so this is a good one. It's going to be a fun one to watch. And they play each other next week, I think, Frank. Isn't it Pittsburgh, Edmonton? And this is where I wish hockey wasn't. And this is one of those Bucci random thoughts we didn't talk about. We sound the sirens, right, Frank? And they should play. It should be Skinner versus Jarry.
They better play.
Sometimes the NHL plays it too safe. This is the entertainment business. It's something we can promo, we can push, we can talk about, we can get excited about. We want to create situations. It's not just to market it and sell it. It's for all the fans to get excited about this game. That's why football has become so popular, because they're able to market each game each week and they get excited about it, and there's buildup. If we know there's buildup, then this game would become an event among the 1,312 regular season games that we have. I counted them all. That's how many we have. Yeah,
no doubt. And look, the other part of this that we didn't really talk about is Spencer Stastny coming in from the Nashville Predators.
Yes.
So that's an interesting part of this deal as well, because, Kulak out, a guy that was looking for more opportunity, sort of exiting the prime of his career. And Spencer Stastny is entering the prime of his career. And that's what makes this deal so odd to me from a Preds perspective. Like, you can understand why the Oilers are trying to thread that needle, right? Kulak wasn't playing well, was a pending UFA. You bring in Stastny, who makes no money, effortless skater. But what about this from the Preds perspective makes any sense? You trading a guy entering his prime that you could have used. And I know he wasn't playing big minutes, but I'm just going to try and put myself in Barry Trotz's shoes for a second. If a team's calling me saying, hey, I want this guy, I'm saying to my scouts, what are we missing on this guy? Or my coaching staff, why is someone beating down our door to get him? And why only a 3rd round pick are we going to move him for?
Right. And did you call the other 30 GM and say, hey, will you give me a second for this guy? Just send out the old, email to the other guys. And you want to have a second for Spencer. But boy, he can skate. He's a beautiful skater. Can really wheel. He'll fit into that Edmonton style. As obviously, it gives them a little more speed if that's what they're looking for. A little smaller than Kulak, not a big playoff guy, perhaps. But we'll have to see how that one plays out. But let's stay on that Predator wagon and talk about Steven Stamkos. Not many guys get to 600 career goals, Frank, and Stamkos got a lot closer very quickly last night with a 4-bagger, the Texas hat trick, 4 goals, as he gets to 594 now.
Yeah, and look, 50% of his season goal total last night in one game.
Yeah.
Not satisfied with the hat trick, as you called it. Got to get the Texas hat trick.
Yes.
Look, I wonder, from a trade perspective, does this energize the trade market for Steven Stamkos? It had obviously been a really tough start to this season for him, and he's found a little bit of mojo of late. There's been some buzz surrounding him. I don't think Barry Trotz is, at least according to people that I've talked to, his phone had been buzzing too much about Stamkos, but you see a night like last night and you're reminded of the talents that's there. I mean, why not? If you can find a way to get Nashville to retain on that deal, if you're a team that's got cap space and a few extra assets, maybe you can find a way to re-energize Stamkos.
Yeah, he turns 36 early next year. Marchand turns 38 in May. So we saw, where a new place surrounded by great players can do what it did to Marchand, plus a lesser role for Marchand in the playoffs last year. He was only playing 15 minutes a night, so he could go balls to the walls on his shift, right? He'd go all out. And so that led to his speed and production. So he went from 18, 19 to 15. Stamkos could find himself in a similar situation where he's playing 15, 16 minutes a night, obviously power play as well. And I would think he would have value. But 6 more now to get to 600. He'd be 22nd player. That number, he's got 50 career playoff goals as well. I think playoff goals should count in a player's career total. Different, another thing for a different time. But yeah, 594 for Stamkos, 6 more for 600, and he'll be number 22 to do it.
Yeah, pretty impressive round number to get to.
Meanwhile, I like when goalies make debuts, and that happened last night. And for the first time ever, Frank, one made it from the state of Florida. That's right, Jacob Fowler. As hockey's, I've always said, hockey's a great enough sport to be played and enjoyed anywhere on the entire planet, and that includes the west coast of Florida. For Jacob Fowler, I watched him play college hockey brilliantly for Boston College. He made his Montreal Canadiens debut last night. And for one thing we've learned in our hockey history reading, Frank, is that if you're a Montreal goalie and you make your debut against the Penguins, you will win.
It's such an incredible stat. Check out this board.
Look at that.
Montreal Canadiens all-time greats that all made their NHL debut, oddly enough, against the Pittsburgh Penguins, and all won. Amazingly enough, if you were to look at this board and say that Jacob Fowler could be half of what any of these all Hall of Famers, Carey Price, soon to be Hall of Famer, ended up being, I mean, you'd be over the moon excited. The amazing part about Fowler making his NHL debut on Thursday night was that not anything the Montreal Canadiens wanted to do. They had no visions at all of having Fowler in their lineup this soon. Sam Montembeault 10 months ago was playing for Team Canada at the Four Nations face-off. He struggled mightily. Jacob Dobesh is another guy. They're in a crisis of confidence right now, and so they're looking to bail out their season, and they turn to the kid who has played really well in the AHL, but they wanted him to get more seasoning. Bucci, I think with his pedigree, we might be talking about a guy that might just be able to step in and hang, even though that's not their design.
No doubt. This is a big time talent. 3rd round draft pick. He won a Clark Cup for the Youngstown Phantoms, and they won a championship in the USHL. Goes to Boston College, goes to the national championship game, plays very well. They don't win it. They fall to Denver and Z Bouillon in the championship game. He's been played well at Laval. And here we are now. So, yeah, you knew right away when you watched him in college, this guy moves well. He's got good size. He's calm. He's very efficient. But he's also, almost moves like a smaller guy. But you can see that's a big boy right there. We're 6'2", 215. Again, from the west coast of Florida. Parents, Canadians fans growing up. So for him, he was filled with adrenaline, and that's what he was destined to be in many ways. So I agree. There's a very good chance Jacob Fowler could be one of those. Again, just turned 21 last month, about 3 weeks ago. So, so we'll see. Things can change with goalies, but his pedigree, his track record from the USHL to big time college hockey, to the American League with a save percentage 914, 919 this year. And now after one game, it's 947 in the National League, where you're playing with good players every night and teammates and almost more predictable, right, than the lower level. So I think there's a very good chance with his personality, size, and talent, he could be sticking around.
It's a heck of a story. All right, we got Guy Gadowsky on tap, head coach at Penn State. We're going to change gears. It's Friday, TGIF. Okay. And we're going to do one of our world famous blind ranks. Bucci's first week on the show. We had to make it college hockey themed. So I'm going to have you blind rank the best college hockey mascots. And so you don't know who's coming. You got to put them in order 1 to 5. I've got 5 for you. And the one caveat that I have for you is that you couldn't pick a big football school where everyone knows the mascot, right? These are all kind of uniquely hockey. All right.
It's a learning mechanism as well. Yes.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. We want to
educate the people.
Some of these great mascots that are out there. All right. So first up,
I like the strategy of this game.
The Alaska Nanooks.
Okay. I mean, solid bear, good head, mean disposition. The jersey fits appropriately, not too tight, not too loose. The mittens strong. That's a pretty good one overall from top to bottom. But I think just like tic-tac-toe, you're best to start in the middle in this blind ranking game. So give me Alaska right in the middle at number 3.
Okay. All right. Next up, we've got a new program to college hockey, but they've made an impact at the Division I level already. The St. Thomas Tommies. Yes, they actually have a mascot.
Rico Blasi, of course, former Miami University coach who turned that program around in Oxford, Ohio. The head coach since the beginning here. That's a jacked kitty right there. Got some delts. He looked a little psychotic. To quote Carl Spackler, boy, that's either 2 or 4. How good are the rest? Man, maybe it's a strong list. I'm gonna go 4. I'm still gonna protect myself for some bangers at the end.
Okay. I understand the game plan. All right, next up, we've got the RPI Engineers.
Ooh, Joe Juno, Adam Oates. Oh, a puck with a hat.
Puck man.
And that's puck man, and that's one of those sticks that we talked about, those wooden sticks that the kids should play. I think he bought that stick from Morgan Geeky's dad, who bought the 10 Sherwoods for $60. Man, that thing's unique. That's like, where else would you see that ever? I'm gonna go 2. I'm hoping there's one better. That could be 1, but I'm gonna go 2. I'm gonna keep the old banger in the bag, and but that was a good one.
Okay. All right. So we have a more traditional one for our 4th, and that is the skating Maine black bear.
Ooh. The head and the hands are too small. Like, I'm not afraid of that bear. I am kicking that bear's butt if I meet him in the woods of Maine. That goes right to 5. And that's what a great program. Ben Barr, They had a new addition to the rink, the Alfond rink, Lindenwood, which is right near me in St. Louis. They're playing in Maine this weekend. But yeah, sorry, Maine, your head's too small and your hands are too small. Small hands smell like cabbage.
Oh, I think, I just like the fact that the Maine black bear skates. I feel like that's a huge part of the mascot.
You could train a real bear to do that, though.
Ooh.
I
don't know.
Try to get a puck to skate.
You should go to public skating on a Friday night. I don't know that that's true. All right, last one.
People not wearing the buckets? Oh, it scares me to
I don't know why they do that. All right, last one is the Vermont Catamount.
Yeah. Again, the head's too small, I think. I'm disappointed overall with that kit right there. I'm not happy, number 1, but I have to. If I had to switch, I think I would put RPI 1 and then slide everyone up, and I'd put actually a Catamount would be 4 or 5. So New England, I don't think you represent. I think we need to reconfigure our to get a more proportional Vermont and Maine.
So since it's college hockey, give yourself a letter grade on your rank.
Yeah, this I want to say C, but it might be a D+. It's not good. I got, when you're 1 should be 4. That's a D. I'm sorry.
Okay. Yeah, I would tend to agree.
I apologize, America.
All right, let's bring in Guy.
We have to change this app to Defeat Plus, not Victory Plus after that. My bad. Look at the legend, Guy Gadowsky, Edmonton's own head hockey coach at Penn State. Guy, how you doing today on this December day?
For having me.
You bet. You guys have an interesting scheduling situation where you don't play hockey for over 40 days. Have you ever done that in your life?
Never. I saw that you had the Alaska Nanooks up there in the last segment. The third, I would have got them a little higher, mind you, but that's just me. We went 31 days once in Alaska, and I thought that was insane, and that's by far the most we've ever had. So this wasn't by design. The Big Ten changed the playoff format this summer, and so we had to add another buy-in, and ours just happened to sandwich up against another one. So here we are.
Is that also related to World Juniors and the international sort of break that everyone takes over the holidays, connected to that at all, or no?
No, I mean, I think that's always been a philosophy of the Big Ten to try play as little as possible during that time, because we do have a lot of players traditionally in the World Juniors, but this just happened more. The bye came in December. We haven't played since November 22nd.
Amazing.
And of course, there's also a Spangler Cup team made up of collegiate players as well. So an additional tournament involving college hockey players. Alaska Fairbanks, Princeton, and now Penn State since the fall of 2013. You probably felt like you were in Alaska and Princeton for a long time, but man, you have dwarfed it with your time at Penn State. You were brought in at the outset as this team made the transition from club hockey to obviously Big Ten hockey. That's quite the jump. How has this, like we said, over 10 years now, how long has it felt, and how has the process gone in your mind?
I mean, it's been awesome. I've loved my time here. And in fact, I know Frank knows this. I got to coach his brother my very first year here, and that was actually set the tone. That was one of the most fun seasons I've ever had in my life. It started with the ACHA club team, and everybody here, I mean, they just love Penn State. They love hockey. They're here to have a great time, and they knew they were setting a foundation for success in future Big Ten, and they did exactly that. So it started off in a bang. It was a blast. And I just can't say enough about the Penn State supporters, whether it's our alumni, our fans, our donors, our athletic department. I mean, everybody just is so supportive of this university. It's been an awesome ride.
Guy, it's been amazing to watch it all come together, because I did see a lot of the ACHA days, and then to see the transition into now you guys being a national powerhouse team that can contend. But when you think about your program over the last couple of years and how those expectations have changed, how do you, particularly related to this season, like you guys are at a different level now, you bring in a top end recruit like Gavin McKenna. How do you think your players have managed and handled those expectations?
I think extremely well for a couple of reasons. One is we've certainly been assimilated into the athletic department here. And if you look at Penn State athletics, I mean, it's the highest expectations are the norm. So I don't think it's really anything different. I think they've handled the expectations really well because of what's surrounding them. And you spoke about the addition of Gavin McKenna, and I think it's really been a great education for all of us, because he's been living with extremely high expectations for a long time, and the way he handles all the noise and buzz and distractions around him is really incredible. It's been a great education, not only for our team of players, but all the adults and staff in the room as well. He really does a great job of putting it aside, just having a great time, being a great chill guy. And I think because of that, I think we've handled expectations really well as well.
He's about to turn 18 in 8 days. He began the season as a 17-year-old. He only has 4 goals in 16 games, Guy. I think that surprises some people and some of our draft board prognosticators. Some have dropped him now, like the 4th overall in this summer's draft. Why is he having a problem scoring goals so far at the collegiate level? 4 goals in 16 games.
Well, I'm not sure it's a problem. I mean, if you look at, I think if you look at his chances, I think he's one of the top of the nation in chances. So he certainly gets a lot. He's hit his fair share of posts. I know that. So maybe the puck hasn't gone in, but no, I think if there's anything, I think he ingratiates himself to the team extremely well. And I think he absolutely was looking to include everybody a lot. So he certainly passed up a lot of great opportunities to help a teammate. That's for sure. But he's incredible. Don't question his scoring. I'll tell you that. He's going to hit his stride here, and he's put himself in a lot of positions to get a lot of chances. He's certainly tried to ingratiate himself with the team and passing up probably good opportunities, which maybe he wouldn't. But the guy is incredible, and don't forget he's 17. He's not an early develop body 17. He's a 17-year-old with just an amazing talent and brain. But as he continues to get bigger, stronger, I mean, the kid is very, very special.
Well, clearly, Guy, you spent a long time watching his game before he arrived on campus. But when he got to Penn State and Happy Valley, what are some of the things that you noticed about his on-ice game that have maybe even surprised you a little bit?
Yeah, so automatically the way he sees the ice is different. And people that have been around the game for any length of time can see it right away. He just manipulates time and space in a very different way than I've ever seen, I guess. I mean, being grown up in Edmonton, I think you could argue that I saw, a similarity with Gretzky, the way he saw the game, but that certainly jumps off the page right away. He really manipulates time and space in a really fun, amazing way. But since that jumps out, but since then we've learned so much about what he can do. I mean, we knew he had a very good shot, and then you see him wire a one-timer top shelf from a bullet across the ice, and I mean his shot's elite. You do quickness drills and he just destroys them, so that's elite. You do a conditioning drill and he destroys that, and that's elite. Coach, we'll be playing a game and we challenge the team to be a little more physical, and all of a sudden it's him throwing huge hits. He'll do that. As a coaching staff, we'll challenge the team to be more detailed away from the puck, and all of a sudden he's doing that extremely well. Like he's a lot more than just an elite brain that can play offense. There's so many aspects of his game that are elite. I think the thing that I love the most is the fact that he's just he ingratiates the team around him. I think that's really big. I think he very quickly gets the team to buy into him and cheer for him because he's just a really good person, and also very, very, very team oriented.
He really reminds me, when people ask me of Nikita Kucherov, I think that's his kind of comp. I mean, because when the way he catches a puck, the way he makes a pass, it's just different than everybody else. And like you said, he also has, so he's elite playmaker. That's the first thing you see. But then he has, like you said, Guy, the shot. He's got the one-timer. He's got everything. And so it's great to hear. I like when coaches talk about what they see at practice, because you guys know, right, during practice who the players are.
Well, and the players know too. Like, I can't tell you how many times, like in practice, there would be a scrimmage situation, and the guys on the bench were like, how did that happen? Like, it happens to us all the time, and it's fun. And you know what? When you talk about Cooch too, it's what's interesting about Gavin. A lot of the time, it's the backhand side of his stick is incredible. It's incredible. What he does with the backhand side of his stick to make plays and keep the puck flat, and he can make bullet passes on his backhand. He can make soft, flat sauce passes like nothing. It's pretty incredible.
Did you have to pinch yourself at all when you get a guy like Gavin McKenna and just the hype surrounding him? And look, I asked that knowing that you're a believer in what you've built at Penn State, but to get that external validation from someone else that has a lot of different options and opportunities on the table to say, no, I want to be the first sort of recruit of this magnitude to go to State College, Pennsylvania.
Well, I can tell you what, it was certainly so many Penn Staters were so thrilled to see him choose Penn State for a number of reasons. And yeah, I think it is very special for the hockey program as well as the university because of that. And when you ask, like, did you pinch yourself at the start, when it was all happening, again, you hear from so many Penn Staters just so pumped to get back Gavin McKenna. It's awesome. And you're sort of pinching yourself. And then you spend 5 minutes with him, and all of a sudden you're like, oh, man, he's just the chillest, coolest dude. Like, he sort of has a way of making you forget who he is until you keep score on something. Then you're reminded pretty quick. But he's really got a way of making everybody feel really comfortable. So certainly from a program standpoint, our supporters, yeah, at the start, everybody's just pinching themselves, wondering how it's going to be. And then you get to know him, and boy, he just fits right in.
And of course, he represents the seismic shift in college hockey, where he played in the WHL the last 3 years. Mm-hmm. Of course, the old days, once you did that, you were ineligible to play college hockey. That rule was changed, and here he is, decorating the college game with his stardom and as other players. I'm curious now, Guy, as we come up there on the Christmas break, are we going to see maybe another influx of players from the Canadian Hockey League making calls and coming into the collegiate programs for the second half of the season? Is that something you guys are involved in? Have you heard about that?
We have heard about it. I certainly wouldn't be surprised to see it happen. I do think that the shift, as you mentioned, the cosmic shift has happened, and it's really made college hockey even better. And you look at this year, for example, you look at the freshmen, the first-year players that are coming into college hockey this year, is completely different than any other year. You look 2 years ago, there's freshmen coming in from Minnesota high schools, New England prep schools, everybody from a tier 2 junior program, whether it's, in Canada or the North American League or whatever, and at best USHL. And now first year players this season in college hockey are guys that have played 4 years of CHL, have been drafted. You have some guys that have played in Canadian university. You have some guys that have played pro. They've played in the American Hockey League and are showing up as first year players in college hockey. So the quality of college hockey this year is very, very different than any other year, for sure. It's older, it's stronger, it's better by a mile. And will that continue? I sort of think it will. What's going to happen this Christmas? I'm not sure.
Guy, I have a fun one for you on the way out. Every week I do Bob Stauffer's show in Edmonton, and I think we should all have to do a shot every time he talks about his midget hockey exploits. But can you give us a coaching scouting report on what Bob Stauffer was like on the ice in the 80s? As
this may not surprise you at all, Bob Stauffer in the 80s was the elite trash talker of any player in any league. And I'm sure that does not surprise you. He's actually a real tough kid, like a real tough kid. And he trash talked with the best of them, but he was really good. I got to give him, I like to grind his gears a little bit, but I have to give him credit. He certainly stuck up for his teammates at the drop of a hat, anywhere, anytime. And he was great at that. He had some skill to him, albeit very hard skill. He certainly wasn't, no one accused him of being a soft skill guy, but he had some skill. He had a knack for putting the puck in the net and a real knack for getting under the skin of the other team. I will tell you that.
Well, Guy Gadowsky, 4 years himself. You played at Colorado College. Boy, the Richmond Renegade stops were very productive for you. You scored goals for the Richmond Renegades in the ECHL. 16 goals in 21 games, 19 goals in 19 games. Must have been a cult hero.
We had the Bob Stauffer that we had on that team was Frank Bailois. So those guys, I'm sure Seravalli, you guys probably remember him. So
Frank the Animal.
Yeah, we had a little bit of room in on the ice in Richmond. Let's put it that way.
Love it. Oh, that's love it. Well, Guy, thanks so much. Merry Christmas. Hope to see you at the Frozen Four this year, which is in Las Vegas, the Frozen Four for college hockey. It's been a star-studded year in college hockey. We mentioned a whole new era, and kind of apropos that the Frozen Four is in Las Vegas. You guys made it last year here in St. Louis, where I am. I'm calling an NHL game tonight, but the Frozen Four was here last year. You guys were here, and that was an amazing accomplishment. And hopefully you can make another step this year in your run for a national championship.
No, I appreciate that. Thank you. And thanks for all you do for college hockey. I hope both of you have a very Merry Christmas as well.
Thanks, Guy.
All right. Guy Gadowsky, the great Guy Gadowsky, head hockey coach at Penn State. And the Penn State Nittany Lions, a long 40-plus day break. Gavin McKenna will be off to World Juniors, of course, and we'll see how he does in the second half of the season. That's a pretty glowing scouting report. I know he dropped on draft boards this week, Frank, but when you hear him talk that way, and you've seen a lot of hockey players, you might want to, again, he's a late bloomer physically, so you better be careful on your forecasting. That's obviously that's a part of scouting, right? These guys can see to the future.
Yeah, too much recency bias and too much in terms of what I've seen on public scouting boards. Too many people looking for clicks. If you've got Gavin McKenna in the 4 spot on your draft board, I hate to break it to you, but it's not going to work out too well for you.
Let's ask the insider. The Islanders obviously Matthew Schaefer has given them a bolt of electricity right from the get-go, an exciting team in a playoff position. But boy, Bo Horvat last night, awkward fall. And monitoring his injury situation, it kind of, you see him watch that left leg, it kind of extended, then watch him grab the inside of that left, like a groin area or hip or something, but doesn't look good, Frank.
Yeah, either way, not pretty and just unlucky the way the skates locked there. And I think everyone's holding their breath from both an Islander perspective and a Team Canada perspective, because there's been so much talk, Bucci, about Macklin Celebrini and Connor Bedard and their cases and candidacy for Team Canada. But I can tell you that sources indicate Bo Horvat is in that final 7 to 8 slots available bubble. And he's played exceptionally well this year. tied for third in the league in goals with the way that he's come out of the gate. And the complete nature of his game had put him in that mix. Wyatt Johnson is another guy from Dallas that is squarely on that bubble. So they're all kind of competing against each other. And as you get closer to Christmas, December 12th, now roster deadline, December 31st, Patrick Waugh said after the game that Bo Horvat is expected to be day to day. Everyone's hoping that that's the case so that that candidacy remains alive. I mean, another injury update yesterday, Logan Cooley, out a minimum of 8 weeks. His candidacy for the Olympics, case closed.
Yeah, there was a fear that looked like it might be ACL for Cooley. Obviously, it's not. At 8 weeks is probably a bad MCL injury of some sort. Those heal on their own usually. But yeah, Horvat, 3 30-goal seasons in his career, on pace for 40+ this year. Really going, feeling good, and feel badly for him. But maybe he's a quick healer. He doesn't miss many games normally. He's only missed 1 game each of the last 2 years. So hope he gets back there. Well, last night I was watching the ESPN game, and Steve Levy and John Tortorella, TJ Oshie, unveiled the Stadium Series sweaters during the intermissions on ESPN. And it's the Bruins Tampa Bay matchup. Frank, what do you think? Fashion expert.
First off, yeah, I am the sartorial expert here, clearly. And I would say that I like color on color, which we talked about yesterday. And the NHL is encouraging teams to find spots where you can do that. I think the Bruins will look good and interesting. I just feel like this Lightning jersey is a big miss. TBL, I mean, the best part about the Lightning jersey is the patch on the shoulder with the pirate flag. A little nod
that
to
would have been a cool
Gasparilla.
thing. That would have been a cool thing in front, right?
Well, especially playing at the home of the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, like lean into the pirate thing.
Put TBL on the sleeve and put the pirate right on the chest.
What the heck is TBL? No one I know it's Tampa Bay
Almost
Lightning.
TBD.
Yeah, it's TB. Get the heck out of here. That's what I think.
Well, Ryan McDonald looks good in anything, so that it's smart you use him. And for Boston, I don't think I would have had the word. I would have just have loved the bear, like the bear and the pirate. Plus, the bear to me, I don't like when things are too low. It's kind of like when people sit at a desk and they're kind of way down like this, and the desk is at their chest. I don't like that either. It's just everything is a bit too low for me. I would take the Boston out, raise the bear up to at least sternum level up here. We should be lower pec up, not upper abs. Like I'm not a big, so just I would have leaned in on the bear. But yeah, and again, white gloves. I just think of maitre d's. Anytime I see white gloves, they're skating maitre d's out there, and that doesn't really put the fear of God in anybody. Just maitre d's out there, sir. Oysters,
so just
6 or 12.
One little Easter egg, though, that I think could be slightly controversial. Okay,
I love the Easter eggs. Both these sweaters have good Easter eggs.
Yeah, so check out the collar here, and you won't see it when it's on, but it says Connecticut, Maine, Boston, Massachusetts, New Hampshire, Rhode Island, and Vermont. I get it.
That's the New England states. The six
New England states.
Not 5, like Steve Levy said last night. Yeah.
However, you've now claimed Hartford Whalers territory. And I know maybe they had encroached on that to begin with, which is maybe why the Whalers didn't ultimately work out. But it feels a little soon for that for me.
Yeah, they've usurped Hartford, Boston. It's Nesson territory. And my kids, I raised my kids in Connecticut. And so once the Patriots started winning Super Bowls, and then the Red Sox won in 2004, the year Jacob Fowler was born, by the way. And then, of course, you squeezed in a Celtics and you squeezed in a Bruins, and then the Patriots would keep winning once in a while, and the Red Sox would keep winning. It used to be really New York down the middle, actually. Obviously, you get Hartford right in the middle of the whale, but it was a Boston, New York state, pretty much 50-50. Now it's pretty much all Boston except for Fairfield County and down there in that southwest part of Connecticut, which is really New York.
Keeping notes here, Connecticut, home of frontrunners. Okay, got it.
Yes. Yeah, the video game era front runners. And but yeah, it really is. It really is it's a New England state through and through now. Except for fair. All right. As I mentioned, I am here, like my Uncle Kenny used to say. I used to play AC Doocy with Uncle Kenny. He lived in a triple decker in South Boston. He was a roofer. And my mom's sister married Kenny Beaton, Uncle Kenny, and he was a roofer. And we'd drive to Boston for vacation 2 weeks every year and stay with them in their triple decker and play AC-Deucey. And he used to always say, you got to speculate to accumulate. So we need to speculate. And Blackhawks and Blues, only 2 games on the board tonight, Frank. So you don't have a lot of options, but you're feeling good about Sufjan Stevens, as he would sing, all things go, Chicago.
Yes. I think Sufjan Stevens, did he have an album called Illinois?
Yes, that's where the song Chicago's off. It's one of my all-time favorite albums. One
of the all-time great album names, Illinois.
Come feel the Illinois.
Yes. Yeah, I do have the Hawks tonight on the money line because I don't understand why they're a dog here. The Hawks were tucked comfortably into their beds last night in St. Louis while the Blues were playing on the road elsewhere. I think even if you were to take that and delete that fact, why would the Blues still be a favorite against the Blackhawks based on the way these two teams have played this season? That doesn't make any sense to me either. So the fact that the Blackhawks are getting a tired Blues team and have played better than them, it doesn't make any sense. So Hawks, typically, if it was a 2-game slate and I didn't like anything on a Friday night, I would just tell you and say, I don't have a play tonight because that's the authentic play. But in this case, Hawks plus 125 to get us up to 4.25 units. And yes, I like this AC-Deucey talk because I am a big AC-Deucey guy.
Oh, the Blues, 11 wins, tied for Vancouver for fewest in the league. This is their 5th game in 7 days, Frank. Chicago, just their 3rd in 6. So like you said, they're the fresher team. Spencer Knight looked like he is in tonight. This is a back-to-back front end for Chicago. They got the Wings tomorrow, so I thought maybe they'll play Knight against the Wings. But no, looks like he's going to play tonight against St. Louis. St. Louis has major goaltending issues, gave up 7 to Nashville last night. So everything is pointing to Chicago, like you said. But we know
it's
in
never
this
that easy.
business, it's not. It's not. Yeah, AC-Deucey. You get that queen 3 and you think it's a lock.
You ever hit the post in AC-Deucey and double the pot? It just so good.
Of course. Oh, the best. It just seems like
you
it's an absolute
have
lock.
20 guys around a table in like a golf bar right off the course, and you play a little AC-Deucey, and you start at $1, and you see those pots climb to $2,500, $5,000 in short order.
I've seen it.
That's good living.
I've seen it before. Yeah, biggest one I saw was like $12,000. It was at a private country club down in Florida, and these guys, I wasn't involved. I was watching. These guys have sold companies that are playing, and the one guy wrote an IOU for $6,000 because
I was just going to say, I've seen guys have to go to the caddy master and get the IOU. That like I've had to see them make the walk of shame the next day to come back and pay the IOU and say, "Hey, honey, I hate to say it, but I hit the post last night, and I need to make
the danger of AC-Deucey.
withdrawal."
Yeah, the danger of AC-Deucey was you overrated the face card. So when you got a Jack 3, it felt like LA to New York. If the cards were 11 instead of a Jack, 11-3, or 12-3 for a Queen, the gap doesn't feel as big. The old face card overrates it.
Here's the other thing they say: scared money don't make money. So
you got to speculate to accumulate. All right, the last word, and this is a great story. USA Hockey has been pushing this for 25 years. They have tried to preach to parents and hockey associations, not to blackball kids who want to play other sports, to parents who are trying to get the college scholarship at age 7 for Sparky, who is just at the learn to skate. Mason West is the latest poster child on have your kid play as many sports as possible and let it weed itself out naturally. When he doesn't make a team, move on. But Mason West, who quarterbacked his Edina team to a state championship in high school football, Frank, is back in the USHL, Chicago Blackhawks first-round pick.
Yeah, it's an amazing story. 2 weeks after accounting for 5 touchdowns and 300 yards in the Minnesota State 6A high school championship game, bringing home that state title for the Edina Hornets. To see him back on the ice last night, making his USHL season debut for the Fargo Force. And he will be taking his talents to Michigan State. And of course, the Hawks have been monitoring, and they actually sent a representative from their front office to that Minnesota State high school championship game. You see him here dropping this from 25 yards out like a quarter in a Coke machine. Just beautiful to see. And so he delivered on his promise to bring Edina to that state title that he had been longing for, upset 4 teams along the way. They were dogs in all those games. And I have a little trivia question for you. Do you know the last man to get the Edina Hornets to the state title game as their quarterback?
Was it Anders Lee, or was he a different
Anders
state?
Lee, yes. The Edina Hornets.
Who went on to play at Notre Dame.
Yep. And
Mason,
there's great connections between Edina hockey and the NHL.
Cake eaters. Yeah, Mason is 6'6", 215. Like you said, he'll turn 19 next August, so he'll go to Michigan State, maybe for a year or two. We'll see. I know the Hawks, talking to some of their scouts, they're certainly high on him. He's got good hands, just trying to get him to play on the inside a little more. We saw the little pirouette lacrosse move with the stick there, effortless, how velvet his hands are. But yeah, 6'6", 215, certainly maybe someone who can develop into a big time, whether it's a third line winger or a second line, big physical guy who can maybe in 4 or 5 years when he's 22 and Bedard's 24, 25, really hitting it, could be a part of that group in Chicago. But an interesting story, 29th overall last year in Los Angeles. I don't know, maybe some teams were scared of him because they wanted to go play football. I don't know why. Yep. It's only 3 months, but some people think that way in hockey, don't they, Frank?
And what a first round for the Hawks. Frondell. You see what Nestrazil is doing at UMass. And then now you throw in Mason West and you're like, yeah, I'll take a flyer on that guy as my 3rd first-round pick. Why not?
Absolutely. Just the attention it gets your team, right? For the stories outside of hockey. It's good for PR. Chicago Blackhawk logo is everywhere these days with the team, Bedard, and again, tonight, exclusively on ESPN Plus and Hulu, Cassie Campbell, the latest the International Hockey Hall of Fame. She's going to go into that, which is exciting for Cassie. And she'll be on the call with me tonight here in St. Louis as the Blues, boy, they're really struggling, injured and looking for goaltending help. And they'll try to take care of the Blackhawks tonight. Frank likes Chicago.
Maybe the Edmonton Oilers have solved their goaltending woes. So big day in the NHL.
Yeah, it's going to be fun to monitor what happens now in Pittsburgh, Jarry's first start, to see Skinner in a Penguin uniform, and what they decide to do the rest of the year. So, we need a little shake-up in hockey. It's a long regular season, and so a nice trade here on a Friday morning really energized the show and energized the fan base. Awesome. So any big weekend plans, Frank?
No, I'll be at the rink coaching as usual. I've got a high school game this afternoon and a game tomorrow afternoon, and I'm going to hang out on Sunday, watch a little football. What about you?
Love it, like many other hockey fans do as well. So again, for you fans, thank you so much for downloading the app. Thanks for watching, as always, Frankly Hockey. Tell a friend as well. I'm John Buccigross. I'll see you tonight, Blackhawks and Blues. Frank Seravalli. You'll see him at the rink. Hot chocolate, maybe the occasional hot dog. Thanks, fans. Have a great weekend. See you Monday.